of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please stay standing while we remember those who have passed. Frances Ann Grossi, Patricia Ann Benaway. Roll call, Mr. Machetta.
Here.
Bill Brown?
Here.
Patsy?
Here.
And I'm here. Mr. Cozzolino is absent tonight. Fire exits are directly behind me. Don't use the elevator. Correspondence, we have none, correct?
None.
At this particular time, we have petitioners' time. They can come state their name at the podium and discuss their concerns for the town.
Enough? 3 minutes.
Good evening,
Yes, we do
ladies
have.
and gentlemen. And remember, we have a lady on the town board. Leonard Distel. This is my third time here in 4 years. I try not to bother the board, but I also would like to see some things get done that haven't been done yet since I was supervisor prior to Mr. Howe for 6 years. So there's a couple of things I'm going to discuss tonight. And I made a little package for the town board members who actually weren't on the board when these things were taken.
Thank you.
And Terry, you get one also.
Sure.
You should have it in your file, but I'll give you a copy. And
Sure we do.
how about the attorney?
I need one for the.
Jackie needs one for her official record. Okay. I'll read over.
So
anyway,
done, right?
Yep.
When I was supervisor, I applied for 2 grants. They're called DASNY grants. And one was for $50,000, and the other one was for $100,000. And you can look through this packet and see how these things went. So today I decided to call the DASNY officials in Albany to find out where we stand on these grants. There's 2 open. The $100,000 grant, which I explained before, has never been processed. The $50,000 grant, we had 3 parts to that. We had a towable generator, electrical upgrade in town hall, and a charging station. The one we got through was the electric charging station. And I went through the process with board approval to advertise for the other 2 entities, which was the electrical upgrade in town hall. And if you're ever down in town hall, take a walk down there and you can see some of the old wiring that really needs to be taken care of. The towable generator, we tried to get it through. I tried to get it through, and the board had approved advertising in 3 different newspapers, mainly the Times Herald Record, Shawangam Journal, and the Ulster County Daily Freeman. And we discussed it, we brought it upstairs, and it just didn't go through. So I called there today, and their Stu says that it's workable. And I guess, Terry, that you had contacted them at one point, because they mentioned your name up there.
No, this was regarding to which particular grant you're talking about?
$50,000.
Yep.
And so anyway, it can still happen. But the only problem is that inflation has taken over, and you're really going to have to go out and rebid if you want to. I mean, there's on the last page you'll see that there's I don't know, $32,512.60 left over from the grant. The electric charging station, we kept the cost down because we had Butch Hoffman who did a lot of the work down at the park. So that's installed, which is a good thing. But we really need to do the electrical and the generator. So before I go into the other grant, I'm just curious. I see now there's a generator on town property. Terry.
Yes.
And is that hooked into town hall?
No, it's not.
Okay.
That's from the emergency shelter.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I checked it out. The New York Rising money paid for the grant. Now, I think there's an opportunity, if you discuss it with the village manager and the mayor,
Right.
that possibly you may be able to hook into that generator.
Correct.
Okay, so I think that's something that's important, because when I was supervisor, they did a survey of all the towns.
Mhm.
And there's probably 95% of the towns that have generators, and the 3 villages. So there's 20 towns and 3 villages. So most of them are hooked up, except town hall. And really, if there's an opportunity to hook into that generator, I think we should do it. I think there's enough power there to operate town hall. It's very important. We haven't had any major storms, but we could have a fast storm, and that would knock everything out, and we need to take care of that. The second grant, which is the $100,000 grant, is probably more important, because it was, as Terry knows, because he served on the board with me, that we had $8,000 of damage at our water filtration plant up in Mountain View Estates in the back. You can't see it. The state police went in there, they did their investigation. They knew who did it, but they had no evidence. So the theory would be to put poles, lighting, and cameras, and to take care of keep an eye on the building, and program the cameras into your computers or whatever. And then if there's more vandalism up there, the state police could have the tapes, and then they could do it. But it's important to protect our water supply, because that filtration plant and the water tanks supplies water to Napa and to the Oval Hospital and ShopRite Plaza. So it's something that we need to take care of. And then Dickman Park, I understand we put a few cameras in.
16.
This grant would have covered the cameras, the entire perimeter of the park, about 1.5 miles. And we have vandalism down there also, so we need to do that. So I'll leave that. I hope that the board would act on those things. They're open. You just have to go through the process and advertise and get the job done. The other thing that I've been concerned with for a long time is cable. And I know that Paul is not here, but he discussed broadband. But there's many roads that don't have cable. And I filed for the, thank you, Jackie. I filed for the amount of money. We have $424,000 in the cable account. And 391 parcels have not been cabled. So, Beaver Dam Road, Steam Hollow Road, there's all kinds of roads. We had discussed Fordmore and Burn Road, and that needs to be done, because during COVID, the library was closed. People had to do their homework online, so families had to take their kids to some house that had high-speed internet. So we need to move along, and broadband may come next year. It may come in 5 years, but why do these people have to wait when we have the money available? I know it's expensive. It's expensive, but you have to talk to Spectrum and Central Hudson, et cetera, et cetera. So the other thing that, the last thing, I'm not going to keep it that long, is the Wawarsing Water District. And it's going to be a good thing for the people down there, but I was in discussions with DEP for a sewer district. And it should have been continued discussion when you came in, because they're responsible for the damage that was caused down there. We lost 40 homes, we lost all that tax revenue, and Village of Alva's water and sewer, Napa, Carhampton is water and sewer, and Washington's only going to have sewer, water. But the fact is that the septic tanks and leach fields are bad as well. And my sources tell me that once they repair that tunnel, it's still going to leak. You remember seeing the pictures of the spider cracks inside the wall? But it's it's embedded in stone, and the limestone is eating away at the concrete on the outside, which they can't see. So if they repair the tunnel and something happens to the outside wall, we're still gonna have more problems. So really, before you sign off on that project, when they ever get it done, make sure that you have a solid agreement, because it would be more than understandable for the people. So I appreciate your time,
Thank you.
and hopefully you will research this and get this done. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, thank you for those comments.
I'm done.
Okay, now we have, well, just before Hank comes up, Mr. Distel, town board we will look at your comments here. Cassie's going to discuss some of the answers to your questions under her concerns at the end of the meeting. The other stuff that's not answered will be looked into, and we'll just, disclose what those answers are.
Yeah, I mean, just try to move this thing forward.
Well, some of them have actually been done already, so that's what we're going to be discussing. So,
Okay.
all right, so the next person is Hank Bartosik.
We'll go with the way it is. My name is Hank Bartosik, and I'm commander of the local VFW. And I'd like to give those of you who are not familiar with our local VFW, and the fact that it doesn't seem to be publicized much. For example, this past year's activities was not at all entered into the local paper. Some people in the community think, other than that they see us in the parade, thinking that we don't do anything, we don't participate. Well, we do, and we submit the pictures to the paper, and they choose not to publish it. But I'd like to give a little history on it. Before I do, I want to walk this to you and let you see what this flag looks like. It's not a printed flag, it's embroidered. And it depicts the original charter. You'll see it when I unfurl it. It's quite...
I just want to get a picture of it.
It's very elaborate, and it was paid for by the person who first started the post. And that is Julius Hayner's father. Julius Hayner was in the service in Japan. And in March was told, or before March, was told that there was going to be a post locally where they live in Ellenville. We had where's the beginning?
All right.
This flag used to be carried by the pet parade. This is the original title at post number 1455. Notice on the bottom it says March, well, not on the bottom, March 25th, 1945. That's when the post was formed. Julius Hayner came back from his service in the Pacific. He was the president of the commander of the post. That post had quite a number of members over the years. I don't know them. I can probably read off just a few of the names that may be familiar to you. The last person that was an officer, Robert Hull, was my quartermaster. Donald Odom has taken over for him. Julius Hayner, all these years was involved in this post. Bill Geiger was commander when I was a quartermaster under him. We had Norman Van Dunk as commander. I've forgotten the first name, Mr. Stoppard, and the Weiss brothers, and many, many others were members. People don't know that. They're not aware of it. And I don't know how to get this out to the community. Perhaps maybe an article in the local paper or some other paper too. Let me say thank you first for supporting the post over the past few years. We originally supported with a fund of $1,600, and that was dropped down to $800. And apparently this year, we were told that we weren't going to continue, there was not going to be any continuation of any support from the town. I'm not sure what's going to happen to the post as a result. I'm denied an opportunity to share with the community the poppies at a traditional place, which was ShopRite, because they said, I'm sorry, we are not going to let you do this anymore. So I asked them if they would give us support through their finances, and they said no. So, we use the money to pay the dues that go to the central headquarters. For that, they receive $30 of membership, $30 membership to the VFW at the central headquarters. They get a magazine. In addition to that, they receive bulletins, quarterly, telling them any information that they could pursue and things that are happening. When they say no one does more for veterans than the VFW, I believe that's true. We have members who have participated in the following well, this doesn't happen to have, unfortunately, I can't tell you all the various different activities that the veterans have participated in throughout the world. It's not listed in these applications, unfortunately. I'll share that some other time. So, formally, to present any other information to you about how the money is spent. There is no post building except it's my house. The expenses for the house and the storage of the material information is in my house. The building was destroyed by 2012, I think it was, completely destroyed, and we couldn't use it. It was put back onto the tax rolls. We paid the taxes for a while, and then we couldn't keep the building because we had no more money. We got rid of the building and just managed to eke out a couple $100 to continue with activities from the sale. Mr. Colliers is aware of that. He helped us. So again, thank you for your previous support, and if you could change your mind about continuing support, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bartosik. No attorney concerns, correct?
None that we have.
Okay. Number one on the agenda, there are no budget modifications. Town board to approve bills as audited. We have 3 signatures. I have a motion.
So moved. Motion.
Mike makes a motion. Bill seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to accept the minutes of the October 3rd budget workshop, the October 5th budget workshop, the October 6th regular and audit meeting, the October 11th budget workshop meeting, the October 20th regular and audit, meeting, the October 24th workshop meeting. So that is,
3 through 8, I'll move.
I'll second.
Bill makes a motion for numbers 3 through 8, and Mike seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
Those motions are carried. Number 9, town board to approve the assessor department report for the August 2022, September 2022.
Move it.
Second.
Cassie makes a motion, Mike seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion's carried. Number 10, town board to approve invoice 2202-1610 for channel communications in the amount of $65,188.00 for the completion of an installation of Wi-Fi at Littman Park and transfer station. Invoice will be paid with ARPA funding.
So moved.
Second.
As Bill makes a motion as the Parks liaison, Mike seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion's carried. I believe that's the final payment.
Yep.
Yep.
So I believe that was about a $192,000 project for Wi-Fi at the transfer station and pretty much the entire property down there.
It goes from 209 all the way up to the transfer station, past the pond, all of that has, no matter where you stand on Littman Park, you now have Wi-Fi.
So that's some Wi-Fi projects that have been done recently. Let's see, number 11, town board to authorize the supervisor to execute the proposal for subsurface technologies in the amount of $36,910 for the rehab of well number 1A at the Napanock Water Treatment Plant. Funds will be taken from the Napanock Water Reserve Funds and is subject to permissive referendum.
I'll move it.
Cassie makes a motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. 12, town board to authorize the supervisor to execute the proposal for subsurface technologies in the amount of $36,910 for the cleaning of well 2A at the Napanock Water Treatment Plant. Funds will be taken from the Napanock Water Reserve Funds and is subject to permissive referendum.
I'll move it.
Second.
Cassie makes a motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. 13, town board to approve the payment application number 5 in the amount of $84,614.39 to Aventus Construction Company, Inc. for the Wawarsing Water District Water Treatment Facility and Well Field Plumbing.
So moved.
Second.
Bill makes a motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Town board to approve payment application number 2 in the amount of $114,631.18 to Amity Construction Corp. for the Wawarsing Water District Individual Service Connections Local Roads WWD Bid 11.
Move it.
Second.
Cassie makes a motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to authorize the town clerk to advertise for road material, sand, bank run gravel, item number 4, crusher run, and a few other items for the town highway department. These bids are returnable December 2nd, 2022 at 12 noon in the town clerk's office.
So moved.
Bill
Second.
makes the motion and Mike seconds it. All in favor?
Aye.
That motion is carried. That's a procedural situation. Every time this year we get and renew our supplies. Number 16, town board to authorize the town clerk to advertise for 2 members to serve a 4-year term at the Town of Wawarsing Environmental Conservation Commission. The term will expire on December 31st, 2026. The applications are to be returned to town clerk's office by noon on Thursday, December 1st.
I'll move it.
Second.
Cassie makes that motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried.
Aye.
Town board to pay the invoice to Jonathan Courtwright in the amount of $10,000 for the tree removal at 22 Fordmore Road, Cohaston, New York. This is per the approval of Department of Environmental Protection. Invoice to be paid from the Wawarsing Water District contract.
So moved.
Second.
Bill makes a motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. 18, town board to authorize the municipal bookkeeper to open a bank account at Webster Bank for the Wawarsing Water District.
I'll move it.
Second.
Nancy makes a motion, Bill seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town board to accept the following bids for the tree removal at the Lauren Kill Cemetery. Downs Tree Service, Wood Chips Construction, Gray Squirrel, and Crane Service.
So moved.
Bill-
Second.
Bill makes a motion, Mike seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
I heard one.
Aye.
Okay,
It was a universal aye.
Two ayes.
all right. All in favor, that's, I think motion's carried. Number 20, Town Board to award the bid for the tree removal at Lauren Kill Cemetery to Downs Tree Service in the amount of $15,150.
So moved.
Second.
Bill makes the motion, Cassie seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried. 21, Town Board to accept the following proposals for the fence repair at Joseph Y. Resnick Airport, Pulaski Fence Corps, Anchor Fence Enterprise, Inc., and Ketchum.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Mike makes the motion, Cassie seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motions are carried. Town Board to award the proposal for the fence repair at Joseph Y. Resnick Airport to Anchor Fence Enterprise, Inc., in the amount of $6,576. That's $6,576.
So moved.
Second.
Bill makes a motion, Cassie seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion's carried. Town Board to approve Renee Olzenek, assessor, to attend a seminar via Zoom given by the Institute of Assessing Officers, New York State Assessors Association, entitled Ratio Studies and the Assessor, on Monday, December 5th, 2022. The cost for the seminar is $100.
So moved.
Second.
Mike makes a motion, Cassie seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
The
Are you
motion
and Dave for
carried.
number 20? Yes.
Okay, at this point, are there any other business motions? Hearing none, we'll go to our concerns. Highway Superintendent, Mr. Pace.
I'm good for tonight.
You don't want to talk about all the things you guys been doing?
No. Cheese, cheese, cheese.
Tony and the Highway Department has been doing an extreme amount of trees. Again, it's trees that are either ash-borne or something that has,
Or dead, whatever.
or dead, and that they're impacting the roads, and for safety purposes, they're being taken down, which is very good that we have 2 bucket trucks. We wish we didn't have to buy 2 bucket trucks because of this airborne disease or the issues, but the facts are the facts, and that's what we have to do, and we appreciate what the Highway Department is doing for that. Mike Bichetta.
Got a few things. One, just so that the public knows, the whistles have been going off an awful lot in Ellenville. It's not necessarily calls. They were doing some service to it, and there's been some errors where a call goes off and it goes off 2 or 3 times. Doesn't mean it's a mass thing that's happening. It's just an error in programming between Kingston and our siren, which is being fixed. I've jumped into the building department. Every month I say how busy we are, and this month is no different. We were busier this past month than we've been all year. 47 permits. I know there's been more since this report was given to me. They're really moving along in there. We have a couple of new employees. Our one employee who took over Barbara Page's job jumped in feet first. She's doing phenomenal. Our new code enforcement officer trainee is in classes right now learning. He'll be out pretty soon, I guess, after his training is all done. So we're really gaining ground in there right now. I'm proud to say they're doing a good job in there. We also met with the Honks and Ambulance and First Aid Squad. We're still in talks before we can come to any kind of service agreement, and there'll be more to come in the future once we get the appropriate information that the board needs to make a decision on. Jumping over to the assessor's office. In Renee's report, there's still an overwhelming concern about properties in the village that are being renovated, and she's not seeing any permits that were obtained to do it. Yes, it's a problem and a concern as far as the tax assessor goes. It's something that must be rectified, and whether the fact is that we can't get any help from the building department in the village, we have to get to the bottom of it, and we need to get the appropriate records so the assessor can do her job correctly, and all these properties can be assessed correctly and fairly. She's also been receiving an awful lot of phone calls about the STAR program and the tax rebate check. It's not really the tax assessor's office that handles it, so she's been directing people to call New York State, because they're the ones that actually handle it. But she also is asking that, in regard to the tax bills, if there's any way that we can get the tax bills for the Wawarsing residents online somehow, which I was gonna talk to Paul about, but he's obviously out of the country swimming with the fishes, as we were saying before. So, that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Bill Brown?
To piggyback on Mike with the building department, a special thank you to Barbara Pays for coming in and helping with the transition there in that department there. A lot of good notes and a lot of good training for our new staff. Appreciate that. Cemeteries, now that we have the bid approved, we can cut down 2 dangerous trees at the Laurenkill Cemetery. And at the Fontainebleau Cemetery, we're in the process of installing signs to each area of the cemetery, so when someone comes to visit the cemetery, they know what section they're looking for and where it's located. And we'll be installing a kiosk there with the rules, regulations, all the contact people, a map of the area. And we have a great landscaper there now that's really taking care of business. We interviewed a couple of very good candidates for the recreation director. We offered one of them the position, and within the next day or two, we should find out whether or not she accepts the position. She comes with a whole lot of experience from another township, about 13 years of experience. And nothing new with the village. Mike and I are still looking to sit down with them and try to make progress, first with the shelter and then move on to the next, maybe the playgrounds or something like that. So. And we haven't gotten any new date for the Ulster County coming with all their agencies to the Methodist Church next door. But we do have one scheduled for December 7th, so hopefully they show up for that one. And that's it.
Kathy Spore.
Okay. First, I'd like to, the cameras and the grants that were spent, we,
So specifically to,
yes, to respond to this, Mountain / Natural Trails Park up there where that water treatment plant is,
so you're specifically talking about the Daisy grant,
Yeah.
that's $50,000.
We put in, per the grant, it was written, so we installed security lighting up there and security cameras up there.
So that's
That's been spent
been resolved.
and resolved. The Lippman Park has the $100,000 we spent on 16 cameras, and so there is literally no place in Lippman Park that you can go that you're not on camera. And we upgraded the display so that we can see it there if we need to, or we can get it here in Town Hall. We can see those displays as well. So we have moved forward with them. The only one I don't have a response to is the generator.
Okay.
But I know Chan has a portable generator that he is very proud of, and he takes to different places when we need it.
Yeah, and he has lighting that he shares with the Ellenville and fire departments, and which is a good thing.
And as I stated before, the Wi-Fi at Whitman Park goes from 209 all the way to the transfer station. You simply log into it, and I think you have to hit agree to terms, because that's the way you get into the system, and then it's on your phone and you're ready to go and everybody can use it. So that's been taken care of. I've gotten actually a lady stopped me when I was there today to tell me how excited she was that we had Wi-Fi there. So the word is getting out. And now we had our Halloween harvest decorating contest, and I have our winners. Third place went to Carl Scott at 202 Burm Road. Second place was Dan and Janine Kavanaugh at 17 Park Street. And first place is 11 Lincoln Street, Tiffany Hamill. And if you all come to Town Hall during business hours, 8 to 4, your prizes are with the legislative aid.
Can you explain how that was done?
I can. We asked people to register their homes if they were decorating them, and then once they were decorated, once they had registered, we opened up voting. It was through Facebook, or you could scan a QR code, because Paul was very savvy and put a QR code up this year. I don't know how to do that. And we had 681 people vote. The algorithm was set so you could only vote once per IP address. So if you have multiple IP addresses, I guess you could vote more than once. But like if I went on my phone, I could only vote once through my phone. I want to thank everybody that participated, and we hope that you will consider participating for the winter holiday decorating contest as well, and that will be going up soon. Anything else?
Is that the correct name?
I gotta check that, but the address is right, but I may
I
have.
think it's Mary and
Is it
Conway.
Mary and Conway? Okay, I'll double check that. But the addresses are 11 Lincoln Street is the correct address, 17 Park Street is the correct address, and 202 Burm Road is correct. But
They're all beautiful.
They are gorgeous.
They did a great job.
They did a great job. So if I misspoke the name, I apologize, but the addresses are correct, and I will check them tomorrow. Okay, Jackie? November 11th, Town Hall's closed for Veterans Day. Be nice to a vet. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Terry.
Okay. Thank you, Cassie. Thanks to the rest of the board members giving their liaison information that you've been working on. And we're moving the town forward in a good way, I think. And as Bill had mentioned and Mike had mentioned about Barbara Pay's retiring, did a good job here, and as the last few weeks, she stepped in, and we have an agreement with her that she was to train Barbara Stanger, and she was very impressed with Barbara Stanger, and she's at a point right now that she can do her job, and I wish I had a situation like that in every department where the person wasn't swimming looking to find out what the person was supposed to do in the previous job, because you don't always have that type of situation where somebody's willing to stand by and assist in providing the new employee something to do. Every time not every single employee that comes into a town government knows exactly what's going on, and we appreciate Barbara for sharing that with her knowledge from over the years that she's been employed by the Town of Wawarsing. Assessor's office, again, actually this afternoon there was, I think, 17 assessors here. We scheduled a meeting in this room, the assessor did. Miranda Bernholtz, who was the previous assessor prior to Renee, is actually the vice president of the Ulster County Assessors Association, and so we had a good conversation today discussing with her on how she's doing, and town of Kingston and also the town of Ulster, that she covers 2 towns, and discussed some good matters on as far as assessment. Mike brought up some of the some of the issues. This isn't meant to be criticizing or targeting anybody, but when Renee has to do an assessment or a reval or increase in evaluation of a property, its primary reason that reason that she would be able to assess something, or the reason that she has to assess something, is based on permitted items of what is done to the property. There's things that are done on a property where you don't need a permit. If it's a 144 square foot shed, then you don't need a permit, but there are things that you need permits for, and she has actually has a number of specific properties where there hasn't been any permits, and there's been a very big, just a tremendous amount of work done to these buildings. So it has to be a cooperation with the village, as a whole, and the town as a whole, and the building department as a whole. Because there's a process that goes from the building department with the assessor, and that's the very, very basic primary way to do it. So we hope that conversation with Mike as a new board member in his field in the building trades. We've discussed this, and we're trying to make a difference here and try to impress upon anybody and everybody that we're working with, which includes the village and the assessor. And the assessor has the background to, from the different jobs that she's had in the past, to explain in very common sense ways on how evaluations of properties are made. The last two meetings, actually, October 7th and October 20th, we had on the agenda. That's, Jackie's looking like they.
October 6th and October 20th.
Okay, October 6th. I knew you were looking with your eyeballs there. But yeah, October 6th and October 20th. The first meeting on October 6th, we had a public hearing on the seeker process, the State Environmental Quality Review Act. We had the public hearing. We have closed the public hearing. We've taken comments. The next meeting on the 20th, we had what they call an EAF long form with basically the DEC. We had Mr. Moriello from Kingston, who's their land use attorney. It was a very successful meeting, and actually I have to thank Mr. Moriello for representing Somerset Partners to get them to the point where they are right now. And just for conversation's sake, the way, if anybody doesn't understand, which could be a lot of people, the town board has been the lead agency in this process, and when we get to the point where this EAF and Mr. Moriello drafted up, after October 20th, he drafted up a 91-page document that will be looked at and tweaked and hopefully approved in the very near future. And that is the time that Somerset Partners will buy the property, as far as they've mentioned to me and Mr. Kyer. So that's a very, very good sign. And a lot of these things over a period of time take time, and previous to Somerset Partners, they basically just came in here approximately last fall. So I would say that in the scheme of things, with the project that they're presenting and the scope of what they're doing, this is a pretty quick project that is looked at and hopefully will be approved and then started. As far as the comments in the beginning from ex-supervisor Mr. Distel, Cassie explained that the $50,000 grant was actually received and spent. The $100,000 one was actually the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The questions have been as far as the emergency shelter and the generator, because the generator's there because of the emergency shelter. And I obviously was a councilman with Mr. Distel as he was on there, and excuse me for a second, we'll let you talk. There was back in 2017, there was conversation about using or sharing the generator with the village on the emergency shelter. What the town board has agreed to, and I say town board, I don't mean this particular town board, I mean the town of Wawarsing and the village of Ellenville, had an agreement that they would separate out of the $3 million the village got and the $3 million that the town got for the stream restoration, which was initiated by Lori DeBoard, that used to work with Congressman Hinchy. That was a long time that project took place. It took way too long. I mean, it took years, maybe 8 years, 10 years, and it got done in the last few years. And there was a lot of things that should have been done faster, but that's just the way this has worked out. Out of the $3 million, the town was relegated to expend $500,000 of the $3 million to the operation of the shelter. The village was to basically provide $700,000, so it was about a $1.2 million project to renovate the basement of the Hunter Memorial Building, which is a jewel of the village, and it's owned by the village. Before Mr. Joe Steckler tragically passed away a few years ago, he was looking across the street at the Methodist Church. The Catholic Church had stepped up to the plate. We were looking at some of the synagogues, just buildings in the village that would possibly be, places that we could utilize for emergency circumstances. And as actually Mr. Dissel said earlier in some of his comments, it doesn't happen very often, but we have to have it when we have to have it. It's critical that you have it. So there's what I'd like to say that money that the town people put in towards that building, that $500,000, that was strictly, and I discussed it with Mr. Geyer, we've discussed it with other lawyers, it's a well-known fact, that is and was for the construction of the building. It wasn't for anything going forward. So at the point when we're talking about working together, there has to be a really discernible reason and written document that would, be looked at by the village and the town to, go further than what the town has already put in. That, I'll reiterate, the town put in $500,000 for that. And in previous times, we've had conversations about whether, generators in other buildings would suffice. We've had some conversation about that. I haven't made that decision up, but we're still continuing to do that. In the process, there is a possibility that maybe the highway can dig a hole in the parking lot, and we would hook up to that hook generator.
I could hook up anything.
Yeah. But as far as that, I think I've covered a lot. Anything that wasn't covered in Mr. Distel's questions earlier, which I believe we just went over all three of them. But if there's any more questions, or anyone has any questions, they can come and petition the town board under the petitioner's time in the beginning of each meeting. So at this point, I'd like to have a motion to.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mike makes a motion, Cassie seconds it, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carried.